And if I take his elbow, I can bend this in all sorts of directions. Our anatomy doesn't allow us to do that. Our elbows are hinge joints, which means that you can only rotate it in one direction. Any bending you get here is actually the shoulder joint moving around and rotating in the socket. So this is one axis. Why doesn't a rig do this? Well, there's a few different reasons. The main one is to give us flexibility as an animator. As an animator, we will normally stay to what happens anatomically. So for example, if the character is just standing there in a relaxed pose, I'm not going to go like that. He's not going to be too happy if his arm is just bent and like flopping, and there you go. We'll just go bend it down this way. That doesn't look right, does it? We don't want to do that. We want to keep it anatomically correct. And on this case, to bend his elbow naturally would be the y-axis. So just look for the actual elbow and you'll be able to kind of rotate that naturally. Now, with that said, even though that's normally what we want, what if we're doing a really cartoony shot? Think of Hotel Transylvania or any shows like that, and we want to make this super quick, like whipping motion, and just we need to shape that arm into a very specific pose. At that point, we are not worried about anatomy. We are worried about design, visual design. In which case, if I was doing a cartoony shot, I would turn on the bend bows of the rig. This is going to give me even more controls. And then I'll just bend the arm however I need it to be and sculpt the pose. So I might try to make this like really cartoony and stretchy. Just something like this. Now this is not going to look great because we're not spending too much time on it. And let's get that elbow in there too. That control right there. So there you go. Now I'm shaping that to be a very distinct cartoony motion. It might only last one frame or maybe two, but that's all I'll need. So the reason why it's not locked off is simply that as animators, there will be times where you don't want it locked off, where you want to have that freedom to do anything. If it's locked off and we don't have access to those motions, like 90% of the time, it's not going to matter. It's going to be, yeah, perfect. That's all I need. But there will come a time when it's like, if only I could just move it. A good example is, for example, eyes. Eyes don't change. Our eyeball is literally just a sphere that doesn't change size or shape. It kind of flexes a little bit if you like really think about it, because it is soft and squishy. You can poke your eye. It's soft. It's not like a marble in your head, but it doesn't grow or shrink. On a rig, you have scale controls for the eye. So I could make the eyes much smaller. Now this is totally unrealistic, but it gives me a lot of flexibility. One, I can modify the rig. So you can see that this character suddenly feels very different just by scaling his eyes a little bit. I could maybe scale his nose up. Maybe let's make it a little longer. And maybe let's make it a little thinner too. So you can see this character feels very different compared to the original, the kind of default character. As an animator, this is really nice, especially for rigs that a lot of people tend to use, because we can modify it and make it our own, even if it's just in a small way. So, yay. The other thing is there will be times when you do want to scale the eyes, maybe even just for one frame. So, for example, if a character opens their eyes and gets really scared, just having the eyes for one frame scale up, something like that. When I just put it like this, it looks weird and fake and just like some weird alien character. But for one frame, it's going to be cool. It's going to make it read even better. I actually did this in a demo a while back, like few weeks ago where we were animating. Let me open this up here. What's the latest version? This one. We were animating a character punching. And this was just a just a demo we were doing on how to analyze reference and how to push the timing of things. But if you look at the fists, as he punches, we'll kind of go through here. Watch the size of this fist right here. This is normal. And then suddenly it's about not quite twice as big, but like I think it was 1.6 times bigger right there. And then it goes back to normal. So for one frame, that hand is scaled up and then back down. Totally unrealistic. But when you play it at speed, it just gives a little bit more of an oomph to that motion. And you usually never even register that something like that happens. So it's really just exaggeration. So let's see. So if I'm doing a realistic shot, I should avoid in general using the other axes available to do it. I can use it to accentuate a pose or a transition, but avoiding it should make the process a bit easier. Yeah, that's basically it. So in normal posing, you'll want to use it as little as possible, if any, like just use the one axis. If you really need to push a pose just to make it like just that much more appealing, it's fine. As long as the audience doesn't see it kind of wiggling in all of these weird axes. The goal is that it's just there if you need it. And let's see. And then could you just lock the axis? Yeah, you can. So we talked about this before, but if ever you need to lock a control on a rig. So let's say we've got this elbow and I really don't want to accidentally animate these two axes. This elbow should only move in the one, and I just want to lock it off so I never accidentally tweak it. You can't actually lock attributes when you reference in a rig, which is how you should usually be bringing in a rig into your scene. So I can't just take this and right click and you see lock selected. Ooh, nice. I get an error. You can see down here in the red. It's basically telling me the attribute has been referenced in because I've referenced in the file. I can't lock it. Great. What do? I can't lock it. For anyone who doesn't know, locking basically makes it so that you can't change an attribute. So for example, you can see how this is for my camera right here. The attributes are gray. These are locked. It means I can't move my camera. No matter what I'm clicking, I don't know if you can hear my tablet here. I can't move it. It's locked. It's stuck. Well, if you reference in a rig, you can't use that. But what you can do is you can mute the attribute. Yeah, Agithia, that's exactly it. So if you do need to lock something, you can mute it. So right click, mute selected, and you'll see nothing happens. That's because there's no keys on it. Muting only works with keys. So I'll set a key first, then mute, and there we go. Now you can still move that or in all of these axes. So I can still break it like this, but then you'll see it resets. So move it in all axes, and then as soon as I change my time right there, it'll reset and zero those back out. So that you could do that very easily. I personally don't. Whenever I'm animating the elbow, I'm just used to it, so I'll always just make sure to rotate in the one axis. I very rarely take any control and go in all axes like this, clicking in the middle. I usually go one axis at a time. That's just the way I animate. And just kind of a tip for Maya, if you really don't like this center rotation ring here, where you click in any of the open area and it'll rotate in all axes at once, if you open up your tool settings, so hit the rotation tool, open up the tool settings, you can find it right up here in the top right. You can turn off, where is it here? Oh, make sure I go into the rotate. Free rotate right here. So if you uncheck that, suddenly I cannot click in the middle here to rotate. I can only click on the actual axes handles. This is actually really nice because it also means that you can now select controls that are behind the rotation manipulator. So you can see here, this is behind the rotation manipulator. I can click and select it. With free rotate turned on, because this whole thing acts as a manipulator, if I click right here, I'm still rotating it. So that is a personal preference. I know some people who love the free rotate. I know an animator who almost exclusively only uses free rotate when they're moving things around. They don't use the individual handles. I know others who absolutely hate the free rotate and just it drives them insane trying to keep track of all of that. I kind of bounce back and forth, honestly. I'll usually use the manipulator handles, but there are times when it's nice to just be able to take that free rotate and just move it, and everything moves on the all together. So it really is personal preference, whatever works best for you.